Hello, Joshua Carr here again, doing a relatively simple case. This one's Lorelei Investors. This is one of the easier ones, I think, in the set. But if you're interested in starting with something simple, not a bad one to start with. So let's get to it. Okay, so really not that bad. We have rentable square feet of 10,000 feet, gross square feet of 8,000 feet. For those of you who are used to real estate, you know the difference between rentable and gross, but simply put, what you rent might not be necessarily what exists. Sometimes what you rent might be a rounded up number. It might be adjusted for hallways, market traditions, adjustments, all kinds of stuff. Long story short, they're making the point here that while the building may physically be 8,000 feet, based on the way they're measuring things, apparently they're calling it 10,000 feet. We can debate whether or not that makes any sense later, but for now, we'll just kind of keep going. In this case, rent is going to be $100, and it looks like we've got 5% growth every other year, 5% every other year, and that's off RSF. And then we've got expenses, which are going to be 35, and that's going to be 1.5% every year. We've got a going in cap rate of 5.5%. We've got a sale cap of 5.25%. That's the end of 5 years. And we have some basic mortgage information. I'll get to the mortgage information in a moment. Let's do the simple stuff first. So we have years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to need year 6 because if we're selling at the end of year 5, generally that's off year 6's cash flow. We have rent. We have expenses. We have net operating income. Again, this is not a tricky one. Income's going to be rent minus expenses. That's not that bad. Rent is going to be $100 a foot times the rentable, which is according to this 10,000 feet. Oopsie, sorry, 10,000 feet. So that's $1 million. If it's going to go up 5% every year, there are a lot of ways you could do this, but sometimes what I'll do, which just seems sort of to work, so I'll have growth and I'll have expenses, sort of rent growth, and then expense growth. And I'm going to put in 5% every other year. So 5% in year 3, 5% in year 5. I'm going to put in 1.5%, drag that across. And now it should be a little less painful to do. I'll do this times 1 plus the rate of growth. Take that, copy that across. We should get 2 steps. And it looks like we do. Sweet. Expenses are going to be 8,000 times 35. Same bit of logic. That times 1 plus the rate of growth. Awesome. The purchase price is going to be take year 1 NOI, take the going in cap rate, divide that number by this number. That's going to be the purchase. And then the sale is going to be year 6's NOI, 5 1/4. This divided by that, that's my sale. Again, I'll just do a little formatting just because I can. I'm not like a format monster, but I do like to have it just be a little clean. I mean, a little organization never killed anyone. Awesome. Cool. Okay, well, we can do unlevered IRR real quick. So IRR is just going to be, we're going to have our purchase, our NOI, and our sale. So and again, years, 0 through 5, and the sale is going to be over here. Of course, the purchase has to be a negative, so let's make that negative. The NOI is going to be that, which means the sum of these three, okay, which means the IRR is, which means the year 3 return on cost, which is just usually an unlevered calculation, would be year 3's NOI divided by the purchase price. For some reason, the people who did this want that highlighted in yellow. For kicks, I'll just highlight it in yellow. I'll play along. As for the amortization schedule, 60 LTV, 3.5% rate, 30-year AM. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do this as an annual just because I can. I'm not going to do a monthly schedule in this case. So if that's the purchase, then the loan is going to be 60% of that, right? That's the loan. Cool. And it looks like we've got a number of periods of 30 and a rate of 3.5%, which means the PMT is going to be the rate, the number of periods, the PV, that's going to be our annual rate. Okay, so now I can build like the world's dumbest amortization schedule. Again, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't need to go out to year 6 because we're not going to own it in year 6. We're going to have the PMT, the IPMT, the PPMT, and the end of period balance. Right? So we're going to start with that amount of money. The payment is going to be that amount of money. That's my payment. The interest payment, or the end of period balance, is going to be last month's balance adjusted by principal. The interest payment is going to be 3.5% times the balance, multiplied, make it negative. And then this is going to be this minus that. In other words, the principal payment will be the difference of the payment and the interest. And if I take that and I make it, formatted in a way that makes sense, as you can see, every year the balance is going down as the principal goes up. If you want to make sure this works, you could just drag it out to year 30, which is always a good thing to do. And we should see that it works. Looks like it worked. Year 30, the balance is 0. Again, quickest way to know if amortization schedules 0 out is to do that. So what's the levered going to look like? We've got equity in. We've got equity out. We're going to need cash flow after debt service. So let's make this happen. The cash flow after debt service is going to be, if this is debt service, this is cash flow after debt service. The debt service is simply going to be this number. And you can decide whether or not you want to make the positive or negative. Here, I'll just make it negative so I can add them together. Again, I'm just doing this for, for speed, basically. Cool. So then the cash flow after debt service is going to be equal to that. Copy. There we go. The equity in is going to be the purchase less the loan. Equity in will be purchase less the loan. So there's the equity in. And then the equity out is going to be the sale price, which is 15.25, minus the balance at the end of year 5, which was $7,038,000. There you go. Which means that's my levered cash flow. So then my IRR on a levered basis would be this, and my cash on cash in year 3 would be take the cash flow in year 3, divide by the equity in, and it is apparently on a levered basis 6.39. There you go. And for kicks, I'll just make this again yellow because they wanted it that way. That's Lorelei Investors. This is not a hard one. I banged it out and it looks like about 11 minutes. I guess if they gave you this as a test and you had an hour, you could spend the next 49 minutes making things pretty colors and making your inputs blue, or I don't know, formatting it or something. This is an easy one, but hey, you got to have the easy ones if you want to also be able to do the hard ones. If this sort of stuff makes you happy, check out my website at kahrrealestate.com or email me at josh@kahrrealestate.com. And until I speak with you next time, keep building better models.